The Big Talker, KIUL. Good morning, Southwest Kansas. It's Mid America in the morning. Good Thursday morning. It's just after 7 o'clock on Thursday, and you know what that means. It's time to talk to someone from Western Motor, and today we're going to talk to Tanner Lucas. Tanner, how are you?
I'm doing great, Bill. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good. So, in regards to when it comes to buying a car, one of the biggest things, and having bought more cars than I can count in my 17 years-ish driving, give or take, it's always been kind of okay getting on the same page as to what the car you're trading in. Usually when you're buying something, at least in my case, when you're buying something, you're usually trading something in, is getting on the same page in regards to value. And having a family member who used to sell cars and having a friend in the very, very dear friend back home in the car industry, I now have an understanding as to the other side of things, as to looking at things from Western Motors' perspective, from the salesperson's perspective.
Sure.
Kind of outline for folks the fact that, yeah, you're coming at it from different places, but give Western Motors kind of perspective on this semi-controversial topic and conversation that's been happening with salesmen and car purchasers for quite a long time.
Well, since the beginning of sales, right?
Yes, exactly right.
And it's a challenge because, as our perspective, organization wide, is that the consumer's looking for value, and they should be. I mean, I think we live in a time now of unprecedented access to knowledge when it comes to pricing data, and certainly any smart customer, and we have a tremendous number of them, will do their research prior to coming into the dealership to figure out what their car is worth, and they should do that. The issue comes when with the tools that we use, right? So
yes.
When a consumer looks at their trade value, there's any number of tools they can use. They can use Kelley Blue Book, which Kelley Blue Book has done a tremendous job marketing itself as the primary source for trade-in information. So you can't blame any consumer for going to look at Kelley Blue Book. But then there's other places where, you could look for NADA, which is now JD Power. You could go to your bank. There's a lot of different sources to use to figure out how much your car is worth. The thing that we always remind people is that there has to be a standard set of numbers that everybody uses. And when I say everybody, I mean the banks, wholesalers, car dealers. There has to be a common set of books, and that common set of books tends to be JD Power or NADA, at least for banks and car dealers. Mm-hmm. Now, the issue then comes to, how do we value those? Why do we use NADA? And the reason is because Kelley Blue Book is a great tool, but it's updated quarterly, right? So as we know in this market, that has varied wildly for the past 2 years, we probably need something that's a little bit more on target. Which is why we use JD Power, formerly NADA, because it's updated quite literally every week with auction data, sales data, so that we know whatever vehicle they're trading in, we know the exact amount it's worth, and then can be as fair as possible in valuing that vehicle. So that's one thing that we do have to educate customers on from time to time, and because there isn't a need to be fair and show as much value as possible for them.
Yes, no, exactly right. And I didn't know NADA was bought by JD Power. I was not aware of that.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Awesome. So when you're pricing a vehicle, like when you and I have talked cars and we're pricing stuff out a little bit and kind of giving me an idea. When you're sitting down with a customer, kind of what goes into that? What goes into the price of a vehicle at Western Motor?
Well, I mean, certainly it starts with the trade-in value, but before they're even available on our lots, we do a number of things. So the first thing we do is, our team of certified service technicians, which they're outstanding at what they do. They put all of our vehicles, everything that comes through here, through a 160-point plus inspection, and that's referred to as a pre-delivery inspection, to determine if there are any mechanical, cosmetic, safety issues that need to be addressed prior to them coming onto our lot. So once we've identified what those issues are, we then go about fixing them, right? Because that's important. And so what we want to do is have have a very safe, reliable vehicle for you to be able to get on our lot. So it's a pretty long process, and in fact it usually takes somewhere between 1 and 3 weeks for depending on what the issues are with these vehicles for them to come onto our lot. And I think an even bigger point to make is that not every one of them do. We here at Western Motor have no problem with sending a vehicle that we've got via auction or trade back out to be someone else's problem other than yours, if it doesn't sort of meet up to snuff, so to speak. So, we do, on average, we put in about $1,700 worth of fixes into a vehicle before they ever come onto our lot. Now that's on average. So sometimes there's more, sometimes there's less.
Well, that's wonderful information and important information as well. So, when you're talking about getting a car from an auction, let's say, and you get something in from an auction, and I know auctions have been kind of tough to say the least right now.
Sure.
And you bring something in and it doesn't, it's just, it looked good on the auction, looking at everything, looking at all the data that was sent with it, and it looked good, but you bring it in and the guys look at it and you're like, you know what, this just isn't up to snuff. What happens, what happens then? Or you buy a car, like on the eventuality that I trade in my 2013 Equinox, which is not some, I know for a fact is not something that you would sell on your lot. What happens with what happens with cars like that? Whether you get a lemon from an auction, or someone sells you something that that, okay, this isn't up to snuff. We need to find another way to get rid of this. What happens when a situation like that comes up?
Sure, that's a great question. So what we do is by virtue of being here for 80 years, we have a number of partners in the automotive world, and particularly the wholesale world, that we would sell those to. Now, okay, a lot of them specialize in, a lot of them have salvage yards or things of that nature, where they'll purchase those vehicles either for parts, or they have parts that would easily fix those vehicles and make them safe and reliable. The issue that we run into with those cars a lot of times is if we did fix them, we'd have to sell them over book. And we've talked about this a number of times, Bill. We just don't do that here. Yeah. We don't sell vehicles over sticker price here. So, we sell those vehicles to wholesalers that then do whatever they do with them. It's kind of their choice.
Okay. All right. Good information there. Let's kind of get into the featured vehicle this week. You got a beauty this week.
Oh, well, yeah. Speaking of selling under book, so this week we have a 2021 Cayenne Red Tint Coat GMC Sierra 1500 SLT truck. It's got 4-wheel drive, leather interior, heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel, and a 6.2 liter V8 engine.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're selling it for $59,872, but it books and retails at $62,000. So this is another one of those examples where, certainly we try to build value into the price of the vehicle. And if we're able to put a vehicle out here and not put as much money into it, we'll pass those savings on along to our customers.
That's great. That's great to be able to do that with a with a vehicle of that caliber. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty special.
Yeah, it is great, and it's going to make someone a really fantastic truck. And we have a number of these later model, higher end trucks that are starting to kind of matriculate into our into our pre-owned inventory. So, I think that anybody who's interested in in a truck like that needs to kind of start checking our website out, which is shopwesternmotor.com.
And in regards to inventory, are things picking up a little bit? That you're starting to kind of see more in terms of new and used both. You're starting to see a little bit more. You're starting to see it pick up a little bit.
We are starting to see it pick up a little bit. Certainly, I think that I think that we have an ongoing issue, which is sort of a pre-sold inventory. And so if people are interested in GMCs in particular, whether they be trucks or whether they be SUVs, I think it's important to call us and check availability and perhaps get on a waiting list to be able to order some of these vehicles if that's absolutely what you want to order.
Okay.
The great thing about these vehicles being delivered a little bit more quickly, though, is that we have some really high quality pre-owned inventory that's starting to stock up into our inventory, and that's incredibly exciting to all of us.
That's great. That's great. Tanner, really appreciate the time. Thank you so much. Please stay safe, and we'll talk again soon, okay? Always great talking to my good buddy Tanner Lucas from Western Motor.